This video will serve as a short introduction to the new VRChat bindings window that we introduced in our latest patch. The first major change we've made in this release is a change to the default bindings of VRChat for the Valve Index and Oculus Touch controllers. In particular, the action menu is no longer bound to joystick click by default. You can access the action menu by holding down the quick menu button on either hand. This will bring up the action menu for that hand. This is intended to reduce accidental activation of the action menu while locomoting. In addition, when you only have one action menu open, you'll be able to locomote with your other hand. A UI will pop up on your other hand to indicate how each direction on your joystick will move you. Pushing up or down will move you forward or back, and pushing left or right will turn you left or right. You can disable this feature in the configuration section of your action menu. In your settings menu, you will see a new button at the top right. This button is labeled Bindings. Clicking this will bring up a new window. Depending on what controller that you're using, you may see a few different displays. If you're using the Oculus Touch controller, you'll see this window. You can see a display of your controllers and what each controller is assigned to. Text will be displayed on the image to indicate which binding corresponds to which button. Across the top, you'll see a selection of control types. These types are slight variations off the default control type. Experiment with each one of these to figure out which one you prefer. If you are using your Oculus Touch controllers on the Steam platform, you will see an additional button here. This is the Steam VR button. If you're customizing your bindings using the Steam VR controller configuration feature, you'll need to make sure that your binding is set to this mode. Otherwise, your binding customizations in Steam VR will not work properly. As a side note, if you want to use the VRChat binding system, your bindings in Steam VR must be set to default. Finally, there's Custom. Custom allows you to rebind the joystick click buttons, the A button on your left controller, and the X button on your right controller. You can assign one of 5 actions to these buttons. You can choose between Action Menu, Jump, Mute, Gesture Toggle, or None. In addition, there's a checkbox at the bottom of the window. This allows you to enable or disable the long press quick menu to open action menu feature. If this is on, holding down the B or Y button, which normally opens your quick menu, will open your action menu on that hand. If you are using the Valve Index controller, you'll see this window. It is very similar to the Oculus Touch window. The only change is that in custom mode, you'll have an additional checkbox. When checked, the Use Lighter Grip for Grabbing option will lower the required strength necessary to grab items with your Valve Index controller. If you're using the HTC Vive wand controller, you'll just see an informational screen. You don't get to customize any bindings. You can still change your bindings, however, using the Steam VR controller binding system. If your controller does not have a bindings image yet, it will either show a message indicating that we do not have a bindings image yet, or you might see the HTC Vive wand binding image instead. Of course, as long as you're using a VR controller, you can still use Steam VR to customize your bindings. In addition, if you are using VRChat in desktop mode, you'll see an informational screen telling you about the most often used keybinds in VRChat. There's a few more that are used for utility purposes. You can read more all about our keyboard bindings on our documentation site at docs.vrchat.com. That's all for now. We'll continue updating this binding system over time. Thanks for watching.